How hard is it to move abroad, really? Okay, for Black women and their families. Let's talk about that, right? Some of you may be feeling like, oh, it's go time, but is this even possible for me? I'm going to walk you through 8 questions. This is 8, so that you'll know whether or not this is going to be really hard or really easy or somewhere in between for you to move abroad. So get out a pen and paper, take notes. Let's walk through questions so that you'll know how hard it might really be for you to move abroad. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter, creator of House Sitter School, co-creator of Exodus Summit, and I help Black women move abroad. I help Black women bop around the world as a nomad. I help Black women take career breaks and sabbaticals. If any of these things are interesting to you, which they are because you're here, hit the subscribe button, please, and then turn on notifications. Ring that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live. Welcome. Okay, I have not lived in the United States since 2015. I left September of 2015, and except for a 3-month period when I first came back from my career break before I figured out what else I was going to do, and for like a 3 or 4 month period during the beginning of COVID, I have not lived in the United States. For the last few years, I've spent half of the year in San Jose, Costa Rica, and the other half bopping around, house sitting and doing whatever. So that's where I'm coming from. I also have had this YouTube channel since 2019, and I've talked to more than 100 Black women who have either moved abroad or spent some significant time away from the United States in a new country or countries, plural. And so the information that I'm going to give you today is based on that. Also, I'm the co-founder of Exodus Summit, which is a community of 21,000 Black women who have or are planning their moves abroad. So this is where this video is coming from. How hard is it really to move abroad for Black women and families? Okay, number one, if you want to recreate the life you have today in the United States, it's hard, okay? If your move abroad plan is to go somewhere that operates a lot like the United States and do things a lot like they do in the United States and live like you live in the United States, it's hard for you to move abroad, okay? For the best possible reasons. The United States is one of one. I mean, for the best possible reasons, other countries don't do things like they do in the United States. So if you think your move abroad has to be, I need to go to another country and buy a house because I own a home here and you have to own a home, and so I have to go to another country to buy a house, moving abroad is going to be hard for you because places don't operate like that. Places don't operate on the same foundation of capitalism and worker exploitation and property as a commodity, as land as a commodity, as they do in the United States. If you can go into it with an open mind and say, I'm going to a different country where things operate in a different way and where I'm going to encounter different people with a different mindset, moving abroad is easier. But if you want to recreate what you know here, which is exploiting people, which is a sense of urgency all the time. If you want to move to a place where, like they have that in the United States, we just have such a sense of urgency about everything. Everything is urgent. And that's not how the rest of the world operates, right? In the rest of the world, listen, you get it when you get it. It's not actually urgent. If you can adjust and relax into that, if you can heal from some of the damage that the United States has done to you and even recognize some of the damage and work to heal from it, moving abroad, not hard. But if you want to recreate your US life, just pick up and go someplace else and live exactly the same way, moving abroad, hard. Okay? Number 2 question or thing, if you already have or know how to get an income source that doesn't require you to be in the United States, moving abroad is easier. Okay, understand hard and easy are relative terms. Okay, if you already have an income source that lets you be anywhere in the world, or if you know how to get an income source that'll let you be anywhere in the world, moving abroad is easy. If all you know is a job that you have to go to physically in order to make money, moving abroad is hard. Okay? So this may be as simple as a remote job, finding some sort of international company or some company that has a truly remote policy and not the way the US does it, which is like work from home, not work from anywhere, right? If you can get a truly remote job or start an online business, right? My income, I told you I'm House Sitter School. I created House Sitter School, and I am the co-creator of Exodus Summit, right? I have I make money no matter where I am in the world, right? Online business means I can be anywhere in the world. So for me, moving abroad is easy. For me, not living in the US since 2015 has been pretty easy. If you already have a remote job that is truly remote, you're probably one foot out the door already. You just may not know it yet. If you don't yet have a remote job or don't yet have some sort of online income, I'm going to point you to some resources in this video later. Stick around, okay? I'm going to point you to some resources that are super helpful, have been very, very helpful to the women in this community. By this community, I mean this YouTube channel, the Exodus Summit community, right, have been really helpful in getting remote work, okay? So stick around, please. If you've been thinking about starting something that would give you that freedom, starting some sort of business, friend, it's go time, okay? It's time to get that underway. But if you don't have any ideas yet, we can work on that inside of the Exodus Summit community, okay? Okay, I'm going to point you to that in just a second. Of course, information is already in the description of this video. So number one, if you want to recreate your life in the U.S., hard. Number two, if you have an income source that doesn't require you to be in the U.S., easy. Number three, if you don't want to get into community with people who've already moved abroad, moving abroad is hard. If you don't want to ask people questions and share information and talk to people who have already moved to the place you're interested in or the places you're interested in, moving abroad is really hard. You're like a lone wolf, and the lone wolf is the most vulnerable wolf, right? A lone wolf is a vulnerable wolf. You need to have community with other people who have done or are doing the things that you're working on. That includes moving abroad. The move abroad community, especially among Black women, is so sharing and so open because we know what our life abroad looks like, how much better we're living, how much more at peace and at ease we are, and how our lives are so much richer because we've moved abroad. And so we share information very, very openly, very freely. But you have to be in community with us, right? You have to be in community with people who have done it. Yes, when you move to a new place, you want to be in community with local people, right? People who are from there. Absolutely, yes, right? But they haven't moved there. They're from there. And there are some needs that you're going to have that they're not going to be able to meet. They've never dealt with immigration, right? They've never dealt with trying to get a bank account in the country before you have legal residency in the country, right? They've never had to do some of the things that you're going to navigate. And so you need to get in community with people who are on a few steps ahead of you on this process. Okay. So if you don't want to get in community with people who've already moved abroad, moving abroad is hard. Okay. Next, if you're willing to create your kids' education plan, moving abroad is easy. If you expect or if you need the plan to school your kids to just fall from the state already formed, and you just plug your kid in, and that's that on that, then you and your kid probably are not going to enjoy moving abroad. But if you're willing to take some time and sit down and work on your kids' move abroad plan, like how you're going to educate your kid, how you're going to school your kid in a new country, then you're going to have a better time with your move abroad. So it's time for me to point you to some resources. Okay. The first resource that I want to point you to is Exodus Summit 2024. October of 2024, Rashida Dow and I created a virtual conference for Black women and their families who want to move abroad called Exodus Summit 2024. This was our 5th year. We started this back in 2020. Right, so this was our 5th year hosting Exodus Summit, and one of the main sessions inside of Exodus Summit was on schooling, options for schooling your kid abroad, right? We're talking putting them in a local school in a new country, putting them in an international school, homeschooling, world schooling, doing a combination of things, creating a micro school, right? That session the replays from that session and all of the sessions of Exodus Summit 2024 are available at exodussummit.com. Okay. And you're just in time for the workshop that is coming up from one of the speakers at the summit. She's doing a Zoom workshop on creating your kids' education plan. And that workshop is December 5th. I thought it was December 5th, but I don't have it on this calendar. No, December 8th. December 8th, 2024. One of the speakers from the summit is doing a Zoom workshop on creating the plan, right? So in the session, we talked about options. In the workshop, you're going to sit down with your paper, your notebook, your computer, and you're going to work on creating your kid's schooling plan. It's not too late to get in on that. Even if you're watching this after December 8th, 2024, still go to exodussummit.com. You can probably get the replays, okay? So inside of Exodus Summit, we had a session with Libria Jones on remote work, on finding remote work, and she's also doing a workshop, a hands-on workshop on finding remote work. Libria's workshop is December 25th. Nope, November, that would be Christmas. November 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Libria Jones' session on finding remote work happens. It's again a workshop where you're going to sit down with her and work through finding remote work. Okay, these workshops are people who have the all access pass to Exodus Summit 2024, which you can still get at exodussummit.com. Okay, if you're willing to create your education plan for your kid, moving abroad is going to be easier than if you're not. Okay, the next question to ask yourself about whether or not moving abroad is really hard, or is it possible for you and for your family, is if you have no idea what the place you want to go to is going to cost. Okay? If you have no idea what the place you want to go to is going to cost you every month or every year, moving abroad is hard. Okay? Because how do you figure out how much money you're going to need if you don't know how much a place is going to cost? If you're able to sit down and calculate how much this place is going to cost, then moving abroad is easier. Okay? How do you do that, Stephanie? You're asking me. I'm glad you asked me that question. Adelia Abor-Shade, who is Picky Girl Travels the World, is doing a workshop on that particular piece of the Move Abroad plan on November 18th. Okay. There are tools that give you cost of living information, and those tools, including the Earth Awaits and Nomad List and Numbeo, okay? Those tools, you can use those as a basic beginner step for calculating how much it's going to cost you in a new country, okay? But what if you don't know what country or what city in another country you would want to go to? Okay. I'm going to point you to another resource. Take notes, go to the description of this video, okay? And then open up the tabs, click on the links now so you'll have those tabs open. Sign up for the stuff now if you need to, or wait until I finish the video. I know I'm giving you a lot of resources, but moving abroad requires you to have a lot of resources. So what if you don't even know where you want to go to calculate how much it's going to cost you? We got you, okay? Exodus Summit has a quiz called Which Country Should I Move To? It's a quiz, exodussummit.com/quiz. Now, the Exodus Summit, Which Country Should I Move To quiz, is not going to tell you, it's going to give you an answer, but we're not telling you to pack your stuff and move to that place, okay? We're telling you to do the research, listen to the questions that quiz is walking you through, because those questions, along with the questions inside of this video, are to help you start thinking about what you need from a place, right? What are you really looking for? A lot of us have never had an opportunity to start from the beginning, right? You're born where you're born, right? Maybe you did some research when it was time to go to college, maybe not. Maybe your job gave you a choice of places to move to and you did some research, maybe not. A lot of us have never had the option to say, I can go anywhere. Now, where do I want to go? So that's why this quiz, the questions inside of the Which Country Should I Move To quiz is so helpful. Helps you frame things, helps you try to figure out what is important to you, what matters. And then the quiz is going to give you an answer. It's going to give you a city in a foreign country, okay? Again, you're not just picking up and moving there, but it's telling you what type of thing you might want to look at, what type of city or what type of region you might want to do your research in. So it's helpful at aiming you in the right direction. Okay? That quiz again is at exodussummit.com/quiz. Once you take the quiz, you'll receive some information on some of the other tools that I've mentioned inside of this video. Okay? So if you have no idea how much a place is going to cost you, it's hard to move abroad. But I've pointed you to a couple of resources that will help you figure out how much it's going to cost you to move abroad. Okay. Next, if you've already started decluttering or downsizing, moving abroad is easier. All right. Moving abroad is easier if you've already started getting rid of some of your stuff. Getting what to do with your stuff is a more emotional process than most people prepare for some people. Now, for me, it was not. Okay. I was like, I don't care about none of this stuff. You can have all of it. Every now and then I think of us one or two things that I'm like, oh, it would have been nice if I had kept that. But for the most part, for me, it was like, I don't want none of this stuff. But most people, most women have some attachments to some stuff. You might have some art. You might have some family mementos. You might have some items that may not fit into your new life, but you can't just trash them. So if you've already started this process of downsizing and or decluttering, it's easier to move abroad than if you haven't. Because this is a thing that some people take a year on, some people take 2 weeks on. It's harder on the women who take 2 weeks, believe it or not. For most women who take 2 weeks to get rid of everything, it's a harder process than women who do it over a few months. So get started today if you don't do anything else. Okay, get started with that today. Um, there is a this point goes back to point number one about recreating your life in the United States being a terrible idea. So when you move in the U.S., often you put everything on a moving van, moving truck, and you just take it with you. Moving to another country with all of your stuff is horrible. Okay. You don't want to ship a whole house. You don't want to do that. You don't want to pay the expense of the shipping. You don't want to pay the expense of receiving it into another country, which is something you're not used to. You have to pay to bring things into another country. It's expensive. I house sat for a woman who was trying to bring her grandmother's desk into Mexico, and it cost so much money that she'd never picked the desk up from the customs people. You don't want that to happen to your stuff that you love. She could have given that desk to a family member or even a stranger who was going to treat it really nicely. Instead, it got stuck in customs and it was gone, right? Um, you don't want to have to ship your stuff. You also don't want to store your stuff for months and months or years and years. Because, friend, I've talked to a lot of women on this channel. What happens when you store your stuff is after a few months, you forget about that stuff. But the payments keep rolling out of your pockets. And then by the time you go back to that storage unit, you don't want any of that stuff. Get rid of it now. It makes it easier for the future. I know this is a difficult process. Join us inside of the Exodus Summit Facebook community where you can meet other women who are going through this same thing. Y'all can work on it together. Maybe you can get yourself an accountability partner and y'all can work on this together. If you're not on Facebook, stick around. I'm going to point you to another resource. I know I keep saying that, but I am. I'm going to do it. Okay. So if you're already getting rid of things, already decluttering, already downsizing, moving abroad is easier. Next point, if you believe that U.S. healthcare is the best healthcare in the world, moving abroad is hard because you think moving to another country means you're going to get sick and die. What I know, and the women on this channel know, and the women in my community know, is that the United States healthcare system is flawed. It's actually dangerous for Black women. It's expensive for no reason. And it's like the worst, not like the best. Okay. There are countries all around the world where healthcare is a right to people who are legally in that country. And healthcare is accessible. And healthcare is a pleasant experience where you actually get care in your health care. All right. Have you ever WhatsApped your dentist to tell him what was going on before you made your appointment? Because I have. Right? Have you ever had a dentist WhatsApp or a doctor WhatsApp you about things and follow-ups? Because I have, right? I don't even live in Costa Rica. And I have a dentist in Costa Rica who takes good care of me and like cares for me. Right? Doc and house calls are much more common around the world than you think. Having a provider, a medical provider, doctor or nurse or someone come to your home and care for you is more common than you think. Having an appointment with a doctor where they show up at that time where you're not stacked in a waiting room, where you don't have to just guess what time you're going to be seen and hope you're going to make it to the rest of the appointments for the day or back to work or whatever. That's not how healthcare operates in the rest of the world. You're going to find medical providers who are well trained and well educated. Sometimes you'll even find medical providers who take things in a much more holistic approach than the United States does, if that's what you're into or not, right? You can find care in healthcare in another country and for pennies on the dollar. And I mean that literally, pennies on the dollar. There are women who go to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is far away, but a place that people like to go, and they get like a full panel of tests and screenings and stuff. I think it's like $480. If anybody's here who has done that, let me know in the comments. Am I right? I think it's $480. I'm about to go to Vietnam in March for a little get together with some Exodus Summit women. There's a meetup happening inside of the Exodus Summit community in Vietnam in late February, early March. And I'm thinking about going and doing that myself, except that Malaysia is not the only place you can do it, and so I can probably do that in Costa Rica. I just need to find the list of tests I need. In a lot of places, hospitals give a menu online. Hospitals put a menu online. Here, if whatever, what do you want checked? What tests do you want run? Order those tests, pay for those tests, get the results of those tests. That's healthcare in a lot of the world, right? And you don't have to see someone to get a referral. If you decide you need to see an endocrinologist, you make an appointment with an endocrinologist with referrals from people inside of your community, right? The people that you're getting in contact with, so you don't just end up anywhere. But healthcare in the United States is bad. It's bad, and it's bad for us, particularly for Black women. If you actually believe the U.S. healthcare system is the best system, moving abroad is hard. Okay? But if you don't, moving abroad is a whole lot easier. The final thing that I want to talk about is if you are willing to follow some legal steps to be able to stay in a country, if you're willing to get residency abroad, moving abroad easier. Or, okay, there's two parts to this. Or if you're not willing to file for residency and in Mexico, it's a green card, right? In Mexico, the temporary residency card is green too, like it is in the US, right? If you don't want to go through that process right now because you're not exactly sure where you want to stay, I can understand that. I still haven't gotten residency. It's been since 2015, although I'm going to correct that very soon because I think it is important for Black people in the United States to have a residency permit that lets you be in another country when things get even worse inside of the United States. I think it's very important for us to have residency in another country, a place that will legally let us in. But if you're not willing to do that right now, you're not interested in doing that. If you're okay with bopping around from place to place, staying there as long as they legally let tourists stay, and then leaving and going to another country, then leaving the United States is easy. That's what I've been doing since 2015. Costa Rica lets you stay. Right now, Costa Rica lets U.S. passport holders stay for 6 months. Fine. Okay. On the 6-month date, I get out. I leave. I take all my stuff. Or right now, I have friends in Costa Rica, so I have left some stuff with friends. I take most of my stuff, and then I come back. I wouldn't recommend that if you have like a home in a place. Because I'm a house sitter, I've been doing a lot of house sitting and Airbnb-ing. I wouldn't recommend that for the long-term solution, but for 9 years, it's worked pretty nicely, right? I think Thailand gave me 60 days, and then I went to their uh, whatever it's called, immigration office, and they gave me another 60 days, right? Vietnam, I think, gave me 60 days. Indonesia, 60 days. And then most of the other countries I've been to have given me 90 days at one jump. Mexico, I think, also 180 days, the times that I've visited Mexico, right? If you don't want to deal with that process right now and you just want to be out of the country and you're okay with being there as long as the tourist visa says you can be there, and then you go to another country, you leave and you go to another country and you start the clock there, moving abroad, easier. Okay? I want to point you to a new resource that is going to help you make your move abroad actually happen. I want to point you to a resource that's going to get you up out of the United States. For the first time ever, Rashida Dow, who is my business partner inside of Exodus Summit, for the first time ever, Rashida Dow and I are coaching women together. Okay, in the past, you've had to go to her for coaching or come to me for coaching. For the first time ever, we're coaching women together on their move abroad. This peace out protocol that we've just run through, right? We've run through 8 considerations for moving abroad because there's 8 steps to moving abroad. I've said 7 and then Rashida said no, there's actually 8. Okay, I ran you through them. How much, where am I going? How much does it cost? Where's that money coming from? What am I going to do about the people in my life that I care for, my kids or my parents or my spouse? What am I going to do about my stuff? What am I going to do about healthcare? How am I going to be a legal resident somewhere, or am I? And then the 8th thing that Rashida added on that is super important is, how am I going to change my mindset? How am I going to leave this toxic country behind and leave the toxic stuff I've learned in that toxic country and go to a new place with a renewed mindset? Those are the steps to moving out of the United States. And Rashida and I are working women through those steps inside of something new that I'm not allowed to announce yet. I've probably said more than I'm supposed to say. Don't tell Rashida, okay? But you can get on the waiting list to make sure that you're the first to hear when it's time for us to release this thing. Go to exodussummit.com slash, what is the link? Go to exodussummit.com slash peace out. Okay? exodussummit.com slash peace out. Okay? Give us your contact information and we will tell you as soon as it's go time for this new thing that we're doing together to help you, Black women and your families, peace out. All right. I have also pointed you inside of this video to Exodus Summit 2024, the online conference that we hosted. Replays are available. And the workshops have not happened yet if you're on Notification Gang and you're watching this video when it's brand new. So if you want the Exodus Summit replays and you want to attend those live workshops on the money, on your kid's school plan, and on finding remote work, it's not too late. Go to exodussummit.com and get your replays to Exodus Summit 2024. I've also pointed you to the Exodus Summit Facebook community, exodussummit.com/community. Okay. It's on Facebook for now. It's not always going to be on Facebook. So go to exodussummit.com/community. If you're watching from the future, it may be in a different place. So good. I know we don't fool with Facebook like that, but that's where it is for now. 21,000 Black women are inside of that community. They're always sharing information. If you don't have community around moving abroad is hard. It's much easier when you're in community with other women. I've mentioned some meetups that are happening and have happened. So inside of the Exodus Summit community, you'll also find ways to meet women face to face, in person. Okay, I'm in Las Vegas right now, and we have a meetup on Sunday, right? So face to face, in person things also inside of the Exodus Summit Facebook community. I've pointed you there. I've pointed you to the Exodus Summit 2024, and then I've pointed you to the wait list for the new thing that I'm not really supposed to talk about that is coming any day now, exodussummit.com/peace out. If you want to work with me and Rashida and the Exodus Summit team to get your move abroad plan together and to get you out the door, you should be going to exodussummit.com/peace out right now. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit the like button before you go. I'm waiting for you to do that. Thank you. Okay. And then share this video with a Black woman you know who is ready to work on her own move abroad plan, who wants to know if it's hard, if it's easy, if it's possible, if it's realistic, and who wants some community surrounding that thing. Share this video with her, please. Thank you very much. And I'll see you again very soon. I'm going to see you in what Rashida and I are making for you if I don't see you inside of the Exodus Summit workshops that are happening in the next couple of weeks. Okay. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate you. I know that you might be really eager to leave the United States, but you don't want to mess it up, right? You don't want to put yourself in a bad situation. The best way that you move into a new place, move out of what you already know into something new, but put yourself in the best possible position to win, right? The best possible position to make it a success. The best possible position for it to work for you and for your family is to be in community with people who are a few steps ahead of you or a whole bunch of steps ahead of you. Be in community with me on this channel. Be in community with the Exodus Summit community inside of Exodus Summit and at our Exodus Summit events. Okay? Be in community with us. Let us help you. Okay? We want to go too, or we're going to, or we're gone too. Okay? Let us help you do that. I understand that it's important. And maybe people in your life are saying, girl, you're exaggerating, chill out. It's not all that serious. I happen to think it's that serious. Okay. I also happen to know how much better my life is by being out of the United States as a Black woman. So I think it's that serious. And so join us in community where we make progress for you. Okay. Where we get you out of the country. There are women who are going to be in the comments of this video today. Once this video goes live, there are women who are going to be telling you where they moved to. They're just like you. They're no more deserving than you and your family. They're just women who took some action, even though it was scary, even though it was hard, even though they were afraid to really mess it up. They still took the action and have the results, are living those results out. You deserve that too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.